Hi everyone, Mitchell Hora back here with you. I'm the founder and CEO of Continuum Ag, and this is the Topsoil Podcast in our mini-series, The CI Effect. Super pumped that you've made it to episode 5 of 5, and hope you've enjoyed and are passing along these episodes to everybody else who needs to hear them. I think hopefully this brings a ton of value. Farmers need to be up on this. This is really where the puck is going, and we need to be paying attention to things happening outside of our own individual farms. In this episode, Chad and I sit down again. We really dig into the CI certification process. We're going to talk about the who, what, when, where, and why CI certification from Continuum Ag is really where you've got to be and is the right next step and the action you can take now that you're so educated by listening to our mini-series here. Hit us up if you have questions. Enjoy this episode.
Hey, pretty excited to be here today with Mitch Hora, CEO of Continuum Ag. Chad Scebold here. We've been really digging into what I'm calling the CI effect, right? Everything carbon intensity. You've said a lot, right? You've got us from start to now what I would call like the enablement of a CI score. Mm-hmm. And carbon intensity, I think we've got a lot of the definitions maybe defined for those of you who had a chance to watch kind of the first 4 segments. This piece here is really like the activation, right? Yeah. Like, so now this is where the rubber meets the road, and it's CI certification, right? It's the process of enablement.
If you ain't jazzed up by now and seen those other episodes to like, holy crap, this is huge and we're going to make some money here. And this is a big deal for American energy, American agriculture. Like, this is a big stinking deal. So now, rubber meets the road. How are we going to actually capitalize? And that, Continuum Ag, we've had to figure that out on our own, Sure. And we've launched a new product called CI certification. That's our solution to this space. It's a couple $1 an acre subscription that covers your entire year worth of farming. We're going to help you go from point A to point Z.
I love it.
One-stop shop.
I love it. So that's the actionable item after we have a CI score. So just kind of recapping a bit. Once we understand it, we start filling out our farm profile on topsoil.ag. We generate a score. Once we generate that score, to put that into action, we can certainly go out and talk to local ethanol facilities, local folks looking to consume low carbon grain. Yep. But to be able to actually get that certified, so think about your FSA certification process, right? Something similar, right?
Yeah, same deal.
So when you look at that certification process, what does that look like, right? So I know we've heard the terminology out there, MMRV.
That's right.
So that's our own in-house platform that we use to verify, right?
Yeah.
Talk about that.
So a couple things here. So step one, we're up in the previous episodes we've been talking, go to Topsoil and get your baseline score. That's just in general based on your default practices. What's your corn score? Maybe what's your soybean score? If you want to run another crop, have at it. But what you're going to actually have to do to monetize this is you need your CI score field by field, because every individual field every year is going to have a slightly different CI score. So that's where you need CI certification. So the process is on Topsoil, after you've got your score, you can subscribe to CI certification. And with that, you can add in your fields, so just your boundaries, and we can work with your existing data platform. And when you get on Topsoil, you'll be assigned a regen success agronomist. Okay, you got your person, you got your guy. That's your CI guy.
Sure, CI guy.
CI guy. I kind of like that, actually. That's a new one. But
or gal, CI
gal. We got our guy. We got gals too. We got a nice, big, diverse team. The key here is you got to get your score field by field. Mm-hmm. So step one, add in those fields, and we help do that. Step two, we work off of your farm profile to create for you a plan. Okay. So we already know on that 2024 crop, say you sign up today, on your 2024 crop, we already know what your plan is.
Sure.
What's your fertilizer going to be? What's your tillage going to be? Your cover crop? What do you expect for a yield? Mm-hmm. We're going in now with a plan. And with that plan, we have an anticipated CI score. We already know what the math is going to say if everything happens exactly the way that we want to. But this is farming. We know that it's not going to happen exactly the way that we planned. So that's part of this subscription, is we help you to document your farming practices. We start that as you farm, you'll get a check-in from your dealer or from your Continuum Ag representative, and you fill out basically a survey, or they help you with a survey saying, hey, we're planning on planting corn on April 20th. What actually happened? Well, that field I actually planted on April 22nd. Cool. Done. Survey. Case closed. However, then we say, well, hey, we got to prove this. We got to prove that fertilizer, the planting, the pesticides that we use, we got to back that up and prove it. So we work with you as a producer and work with your dealer to bring in the verifiable information, the shapefile, the receipt, the seed tag, whatever that may be that you can bring to the table to prove that what you claim is legit.
Yep.
So throughout the whole year of farming, we're going to keep following that plan and documenting what actually happened. And at the end of the year, after harvest, we're going to submit all this to the third-party verifier. We facilitate that for you as part of your subscription. We pass along the data to the verifier. Some farmers will be audited, but as long as you have that verifiable data in there, should be no additional lift for you as a farmer. No additional lift because you got in on this early. We've been helping to document the whole time. So we submit it to the verifier. They come back to us with that stamp of approval saying, yep, these bushels and the CI score is legit. Now as a producer, I'm in a position of power to start working with my ethanol plants, my off-takers, with verified carbon intensity scores on my bushels. Now we can work together to really maximize these tax credit opportunities.
Makes a ton of sense, and I think that's kind of the thing in my mind that makes it easy, right? Yeah. So you got one platform, all your data comes in, whether you're working with your dealer that's working with Continuum or you're working directly with us. It is, fairly easy to get your projected or anticipated CI score. Right? And I think that is again step one.
10 minutes.
That anticipation, that projected CI score, right? It gets you close based off of what we think we're going to do or how we're going to do it, right?
Yeah.
And then I think maybe the other piece of the puzzle here is as you're looking at that verification process, it's not necessarily that the producer's trying to screw the system. It's the final verification of did you do what you actually anticipated that you were going to do. And that is the final handshake, the high five, and make sure that those are certified. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about federal tax credits here. We're talking about the IRS. We're talking about we got to be signing off that this is legit and they're going to audit, and we don't know what that's going to look like yet. But if we're fraudulent, fraud, literal definition fraud. Absolutely. Okay, so we got to be able to back this stuff up. So let me kind of take it home a little bit on my direct story within this. At the beginning of the year, based on some of our historical yields, we were looking at our carbon intensity score being -10, but we had terrible drought this year. My corn yielded 212 bushel, which I got to complain about a little bit because I want it to be higher. Dryland corn, of course. Something's high. But 212 bushel, a lot of times I can be 250, 240, 250. So it was a hit this year. My 212 bushel corn, I reran my score now after harvest, and it came back with a score of -4.1. Okay, that score of -4.1, I've now documented my farming practices the whole time. I can submit that to the third-party verifier. Continuum, my Continuum rep does that for me. I paid $5 to get this. I've updated my score of 4.1. It's gone through third-party verification, and they say this is legit. A score of -4.1 on 212 bushel corn is worth about $380 per acre. For me and the biofuel company to work together. I paid $5, created $380 worth of value. Now I'm in position to work with my biofuel company to negotiate on what my value is going to be.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that I'm going to go in there and get about half of the value. Half of $380, $190 an acre.
Huge, right?
I paid $5, and I'm looking at potential for $190. I don't know if the farmer's going to get 50%. Okay, I'm hearing a lot of like 25% and somewhere about that. But shoot, even that, you're talking just shy of $100 an acre. And the only way you're going to be able to negotiate for a higher percentage is if you know your data, you know your score, and it's verified, it's legit. And here's a solution for that, where the farmer owns it.
The dollars are nuts, right? But I think the wild thing is I'm out talking to producers is a lot of guys are doing the things that they should be doing today to be able to automatically qualify. I know that this fall is, fall 23.
Yep.
We're making decisions for 24 and 25s when that credit comes into play. But a lot of the guys are doing or have done a lot of the things, so there's no additionalities. It's like, hey, here's your reward for doing all the things you want to do.
That's
so maybe
so
just
great
high level
about
talk me through that.
On my farm, we've been no-till since 1978, cover cropping since 2013. We don't qualify for the old existing carbon offset, carbon credit programs because of additionality. They only pay based on practice change. We're not talking about carbon programs here.
Yep.
We're talking about this low carbon fuel tax credit.
Sure.
It doesn't matter what you did in the past. Doesn't matter what you're going to do in the future. All that matters is what is the footprint of that bushel. So on my farm, we use no-till. We use cover crops. Cover crops is a major driver of this score, but it's not the only thing.
Sure.
The score is also influenced by the yield, having good yield, good efficient production, having low fertilizer inputs, and just good return, good 4R nutrient management. Maybe you're using a biological or a stabilizer or good split applications, just being more efficient. Again, it's your carbon footprint going in divided by the bushels coming out. So the more efficient you are, the better off you're going to be. That's what I love about this. Farmers that have already been doing a great job utilizing technology, utilizing smart data intelligence, they're at the forefront here already. Now, hey, if you're not, using a lot of practices like cover crops and no-till and stuff, those would help you, but you don't have to do those things. Yeah. Because, some of these practices, if you're not used to them, you could hurt your yield if you don't go about it the right way. We can help you to avoid that. We have a different program that we utilize there called the Regen Roadmap. But even without those practices, you can stay within your typical farming system and likely still be in the money.
Huge.
No matter what, they're gonna need your data. No matter what, no matter what practices you're implementing, the off-taker of your grain still needs to know about your practices. Step one is just know what the value of that data actually is.
Mitch, I got to ask you. So I had a guy send me a text a couple days ago. We were talking about low CI grains, and we were talking about the CI effect, right? How do we get certified? Just so happens he works with a facility that produces a beverage that we both partake in significantly from time to time. But he wanted to know, does low CI grain in beer production taste better than high CI grain? So you're going to have to go ahead.
We need to test that out, though. Low CI Bush Light is going to be awesome.
Money, right? I think
it's going to be awesome.
Listen, I think we're going to have to get to that fairly quickly. What do you think?
It's going to taste like money to me. but I think it's going to be everything, okay? So the CI effect of this is that now there's a precedent being set.
Yep.
A scoring system and a business model that's being set here by these 45Z credits.
That's right.
It's going to influence everybody. I think even I'm underestimating it, and I am the most bullish on this thing. Mm-hmm. And even I think I'm underestimating. It's going to influence everything because now that low carbon grain is being incentivized to go into fuel production. What's the rest of the processing industry going to do? They're going to have to respond and have to figure this out. And they have big goals that they want to meet too. And they thought that they were going to do it within carbon offsetting and
CPGs, right? So what Mitch is referring to is like CPGs, right? So we're talking about beverages like beer, right?
Yeah.
But other things that we consume as Americans, right? As folks that are
it's going to be everything. Low carbon pork, low carbon dairy, low carbon bread. It's going to be all the stuff. It's just, so much of this carbon push has been to develop these carbon credits and carbon offsets where a company can just buy carbon credits from somebody and therefore be able to decarbonize. Well, instead of buying a credit from over there, why don't you just lower your footprint from within? And that's what we're talking here. It just makes so much more sense to me. That's why I like this and why I'm just so bullish on the long term of, as producers, we're going to continue to have to document our farming practices, run environmental outcomes. It's going to be more than just carbon. It'll be other outcomes too.
Yep.
Documenting practices, run environmental outcomes, get that third party verified, and that data is going to go with your product into the supply chain. The goalpost will probably move. They always do.
Yeah.
Right now we're talking about carbon. It could be water. It could be biodiversity. I don't know. But it's all going to be the same data. So keeping your ducks in a row is going to be crucial.
Absolutely. And I'll kind of wrap this up with this, right? We've got the farming practices we're already doing, most of us, whether it's no-till, cover crops, conventional stuff that we have moved away from maybe. Mm-hmm. But we have the data, right? Most of us have most, if not all, the data that's just sitting there. Yeah. Continuum's got that digital wallet that can actually take in all that data, produce that score, and empower some of that. CI certification's probably something you need to take a look at. Go into topsoil.ag and get started.
Yep.
Get your CI score. I'm Chad Scebold with Continuum, Mitch Hora.
Great to be here. Good stuff.
Thanks, Mitch.